Hi everyone, I'm Tanya Fuller and I am going to talk about my presentation for the capstone project at Ohio Christian University. The topic that I have been researching for quite some time is the self-efficacy of individuals with developmental disabilities. I've found upon my research that a lot of people that suffer with developmental disabilities, or DD as some people like to call it, they suffer from the beginning of their early stages of development. People may, for example, not have them evaluated properly or help them reach the milestones that they need to reach, or sometimes poverty even plays a role in the family's participation of trying to help these individuals find their full potential. One thing that my research found is that, according to the National Institute of Health, that developmental disabilities can be categorized or expressed as a severe or long-term disability that can affect cognitive ability or physical functioning, or both. And the disabilities usually appear before the age of 22 and can be lifelong. I also found that the National Institute of Health also mentioned that some disabilities may be solely physical, and for example, such as blindness or being deaf. And then of course there are other intellectual things such as low cognitive functioning. Sometimes it can be stemming from genetic issues, which I thought was interesting because I think there are quite a few myths out there about developmental disabilities and how it's just a coincidence or related to substance abuse or something of that nature. But there are in fact genetic components of some people that have to suffer with the DD. Another thing, such as in regards on the same note to that, would be that Down syndrome and fetal alcohol syndrome are listed as a developmental disability according to the National Institute of Health. And what I have found that with my paper that I really wanted to stress on is that it is important, as what people would say, quote, us, normal functioning people, as we're put into that category because of higher cognitive functioning. I think it's important that we reach out and break stereotypes. I think it's important that we stress emphasis on educating ourselves and learning about people that suffer with having a developmental delay or a physical disability of some sort. I think it's our job as humans, and especially as Christians, to reach out and to learn and see what ways we can help enrich their lives. That is very, very important to me on a personal note. And I think in the field of psychology it's very important too, because understanding where they came from and what the precipitating factors were that caused this, whether it could be genetic or sometimes it's physical abuse, sometimes it's poor prenatal care. I've also found some of that out through my research as well. It's very important that we understand the backdrop to what has caused the developmental delays. It is important that, like one of my favorite psychologists ever, Carl Rogers, said, we need to meet them where they are. And what that means is we are not going to be able to be good counselors or psychologists or whatever field we're going into. Whatever we decide to expand on in our education, school teachers, whatever, we're not going to be any good at that if we don't understand to meet people where they are. And that's the same thing that any client, whether they have substance abuse or mental health issues or developmental delays, we need to meet them where they are. And understanding what caused that gives us good insight of how we can approach them. It gives us, hopefully as Christians, a compassionate understanding for what they've been through as far as stereotypes. Hopefully we can reach in our hearts to also find out what we can do for them when we are working with these people. They have the abilities that anyone has, maybe not on the same functioning level, but they have the desire to work, to have children, to obtain education to the best of their abilities. I think it's important that we help enforce that we find resources within the community, that they are put through the proper testing procedures to see what functioning levels they are at. And it's very important that we support them in being the most that they can be. Many times, those stereotypes that go along with having a developmental delay is that people are ignorant or uneducated, or I've even heard worse statements than that, which I would not repeat. But what I feel is that what contributes to their feeling can be those stereotypes and how the community has had a lack of support or a lack of education in understanding how to serve these individuals. And also in regards to a couple of questions that I had answered during my research by several websites, several articles, there was a lot of information about how the lack of community support played one of the biggest roles in the self-perception of individuals with developmental delays. I think that feeling that they have a voice and knowing that they're understood, I feel that having, of course, especially here in the state of Ohio, as clear as possible, we need to make sure that we are expressing their rights to them, their right to vote, their right to privacy, and so forth. It's in the Ohio Revised Code. They have the same rights that all of us have. I think it's also important that being able to let them reach the point of being an autonomous person to the best of their ability. I've seen individuals that were not able to obtain their own housing until they were maybe in their late 30s. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, because it took longer to build the skills, but they still reached their goals of being independent. And of course, for other people, sometimes they needed to have more supervision and more guidance and home health aides and different things to come in and help them maintain their home so it's sanitary and safe. But however, the right to be their own individual with a feeling of respect and dignity, and I think the most important thing that I really just wanted to really cover in a paper is just that people have a better understanding that they go through, that people with developmental delays go through emotional changes, and they feel pain, and they go through the same things we go through. They may express them differently, they may process them differently or on a different level, but they're humans just like you and I, and they have the right to the same things that you and I have. And we should, as society, look out for them, reach out to them, and support them as they evolve and develop and grow and reach their fullest potential. The state of Ohio does not, they have a slogan, but I mean, it makes sense. We want to look at their abilities, not their disabilities. So I think just fine-tuning that and putting that all together, having a better understanding of what it takes for them, and tailor that plan to them so that they can reach their highest potential and their goals and have a sense of happiness and being complete as a human being. That is what my paper is going to focus on, because it really means a lot to me. And the support for these individuals, I always think of myself as an advocate, because I really have compassion, and I see their struggles and how society has viewed them, and we just need to lift them up and always be supportive. So thank you for listening to my presentation, and I will see you all in class. Take care.